ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Friday, January 22nd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling the White Claw phone lines at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer made pure. We got basketball action coming up tonight at the Cam Henderson Center. Marshall women are in action against FIU. That's going to tip off a little bit after 6 o'clock. And then the men's basketball game is going to tip off a little bit after 7 o'clock. So we will have that game, and Marshall's on the road at FIU. We'll have that game for you. We go on the air at 6 o'clock with our pregame. Now, Marshall sent the news out earlier that there would not be a broadcast of the game tonight. Let me clarify that. The release meant the video broadcast. There's no television, there's no video broadcast of this game tonight. And there is a COVID-19 issue involving the video crew. So they don't have the staff to properly put together the video production tonight. So there will not be a video available of this game. There won't be streaming. So if you want to follow along, you listen to it right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Coming up on the program here in the next few minutes, we're going to take our break early. Marshall University head football coach Charles Huff will join me. And have you followed him on Twitter yet? If you haven't, he is all over it. I don't know how he's managing his time, but he's always somewhere in the community, it feels like. At the same time, we're seeing recruiting news come out. He's trying to put together a staff. He's trying to put together a football program, and he still has time to hit the coffee shop and hang out and be seen with folks and get to find out about his new community. So he's all over the place. He's got a lot of energy, and I'm looking forward to talking to him here in the next few minutes. And if you're not following him, he put out a tweet today about basketball. Not just, hey, go Herd, looking forward to it. I mean, he was giving instructions to Tavion Kinsey and Jared West and talking to Coach Kemper and Coach D'Antoni and basically saying, look, go Herd, we're looking for you to go out there, be leaders. I mean, he's really excited about what's happening with Marshall and the university. That's exciting to me, and that's pretty cool. That you got your football coach who's not been on the job but a few days already being one of your loudest cheerleaders for basketball. And so that's great. I love to see that support between coaches. I think basketball and football being the two big signature sports at any university, depending on the university. But it's good to see that crossover, and I hope to see a lot of football players in the future, if not in a cluster, but when we can open these things back up, I hope to see a lot of his squad supporting the Herd basketball team. And, of course, I hope to see a lot of the Marshall basketball team supporting all the other sports, including football. So that's exciting. I like that. I like that camaraderie. I mean, the hashtag is Herd Family. You've seen Marshall put that out, and I like that. So I was impressed with what I saw today. We're going to talk to Coach here in a few minutes, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, later on, we'll get your phone calls in at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. I don't know how much he'll give me as far as his coaching staff that he's putting together, but there's some names out there if he'll open up to me. Bill Legg is reportedly going to be the tight ends coach. Tim Cramsey, of course, has been retained, and there are a few other names that are coming out. So we'll see if Coach can talk about those names. If not, I've got plenty to talk to him about, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll do it next here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We're taking Paul Swann everywhere. Download or subscribe to The Drive with Paul Swann on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming up in just a few moments, we're going to be speaking with the new head coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, Charles Huff. I was excited about this earlier today, so I took to Twitter. I think I've already had 5 Monster energy drinks, and I told Coach I'm going to have to drink 5 of them to keep up with him. Coach replied on Twitter, and he's up in the game. He's got the Red Bull ready to go. So if you're not following either one of us on Twitter, hit Twitter to follow us both. You can follow Coach at Coach Huff, and of course, you can follow me at Paul Swann. And still to come, we got Marshall basketball coming up tonight. As we mentioned, the ladies are taking on FIU, 6 o'clock at the Cam Henderson Center. And coming up at 7 o'clock, it's going to be the men taking on FIU on the road. We got that game for you. There will not be a television broadcast of that tonight, so you want to lock it right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930, or also on 93.7 The Dog. So you're looking for the Herd tonight, lock it on your radio. We've got you covered, and then stick around after the game. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be a Marshall win tonight, so we're going to talk about the victory. I'm looking for Tavion to go off. I'm looking for Jared to go off. I want, and this is serious, I want Jansen to hit 5 threes. I want 5 threes out of Jansen tonight. I want 8 steals minimum from Jared. I want 8 steals. And I want maybe okay, you know what? 5 might not be enough. Have you scouted FIU yet? Have you looked at them? They like to jack it up. They like to press. They like to jack it up. They like to put up a lot of shots. And so we're going to definitely break that down. That's coming up tonight. Following the show, we'll go on the air at 6 o'clock. We will have Marshall, FIU, the Panthers trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. The Herd, of course, trying to bounce back from the 69-67 loss to Western Kentucky when these two teams last met a few days ago. So looking forward to the contest tonight. Again, 6 o'clock, we'll have it for you. No television tonight, only radio. Looking forward to hearing the voice of the Herd, Steve Cotton, call this one. And that is coming up tonight right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Also on 93.7 The Dog. So if you're, again, looking for TV, if you know someone who's trying to follow it tonight and they can't get the TV stream because there isn't a TV stream, here's the best thing you do. You can go to our website, WRVC.com. We've got a streaming app for you. You can also listen to the game on the website as well. Get the app, and you can stream all the basketball action tonight. Joining us now on the program, I want to welcome the new coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, Charles Huff. Coach, thanks for joining me. I'm excited to talk to you. I think I've been excited to talk to you since I've been excited since that presser the other day. Several people said they're ready to run through walls for you. Have you thought about motivational speaking as a backup career if this thing doesn't work out?
Yeah, I've already got it figured out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge this fan base up, and I'm going to get everybody excited, and I'm going to retire the night before the first game. And then I'm going to go into motivational speaking. So I'll go down as the best coach to never win or lose a game in Marshall history. That'd be something I can hang on to for the rest of my life.
I don't know. I just based on your social media account and listening to you, that wouldn't be fun for you. I don't think you want to retire without a game.
No, man. I tell you what, man. It's great to be here. Obviously, the fan support, the community, the players on the team, the former players. Everybody's been great, man. And you know, I'm a strong believer that when you love what you do, you really don't have a job. I love what I do. You know, I love energizing, fans. I love energizing communities. Not because I'm a motivational speaker, but I get to be myself. I get to be myself. I get to be around some of my best friends. I get to coach some of the brightest and best young men in the world. Who wouldn't want that opportunity every day?
I was going to ask you, do you just come about this naturally? Is this something you had to work on, or were you just born this vivacious, this personable?
No, man. I'm a strong believer. As you know, one of my core values is positive attitude. So I try to look at the glass as always running over, not half full. It could always be worse. There are a million people that would trade places with me any day. So I just wake up and, I'm blessed enough to get another day. The good Lord bless me. So I try to maximize it and treat every day like it's going to be my last.
You mentioned being in the community, and already we've seen you all over Huntington and the tri-state, just trying to get familiar with your new home. What have you seen so far as you've been out? What have you enjoyed about Huntington as you get to learn your new home?
Well, I've learned that it's a grid city, so if you make the wrong turn, you will be going down a one-way street. I have learned that. I've also learned that the people are just true blue-collar, down-to-earth, good people. It doesn't matter if it's somebody at Jim's Steak and Spaghetti or somebody at the CVS or the Sheets where I get my coffee every morning. So I enjoy good people. I enjoy people that love life. I enjoy people that are kind. I enjoy people that have a kind heart, a positive attitude, and a bright smile on their face. And that's what I see the most around Huntington now. I mean, I'm in the office a lot during the day, so I don't know. Maybe the frowns come out in the day, but at 5:30 in the morning at Sheets, people are always smiling. And when I leave here at night, I see people smiling. So I enjoy it.
When you're out meeting people, I'm sure the first thing is congratulations, welcome to Huntington. And as a second question, usually when does Marshall play Alabama?
No, the second question is usually, have you seen We Are Marshall? And do you know about the 75? And both of those answers are yes and yes. And then after that, it's usually, hey, can I get a picture? Give me a big hug. Coach, appreciate you.
How important is that for you? Just you came in already having connections with the Marshall history. I mean, you mentioned Byron Leftwich as someone you looked up to. How important was it to you to hit the ground running and to make sure people knew that you were going to honor the history of Marshall, but at the same time, this is still going to be your team. It's going to look like your team.
Yeah, well, it's not my team. It's our team. It's Marshall community team. It's the players team. It's the former players team. I just happen to be the guy in charge of it. But it's not me. It's a representation of this entire community. It's a representation of this entire university. So it's always good when you can feel and you get a chance to give back and see the people in the communities whose team it is really enjoying the team, really enjoying their coach. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve these players. Obviously, it's my job to lead and set the example and set the expectation for where this program is going to go. But it's my job to help these guys achieve those goals. It's my job to help this university affect people outside the gates. It's my job to help the former players want a reason to come back. That's my job. The other part's up to you guys, whether you guys think I'm a good coach or not.
Joining us on the program, the new head coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, Charles Huff. Already, you've endeared yourself to the community. You've been reaching out to former players, as you've mentioned. At the same time, you've been trying to recruit, put together a team. You're trying to also make sure that the current players know what you're about and that you're with them. And on top of this, you're trying to put together a staff. So are you able to comment where you're at yet with your staff or talk about any of your particular target hires?
Well, I can't comment because there's some HR protocols and things that have to go in place. But I will say I'm bringing a staff here, obviously of men of high character. There will be a lot of recognizable faces on my staff from the Marshall community and fan base will recognize. Then there's going to be a lot of guys that fit me. There's going to be some guys that I've had past relationships with. There's going to be some guys that I've been able to work with in the past, so I know who they are. I know what type of men they are. And then, for the players, I tell them all the time, I'm going to assemble the best college football staff that Marshall is able to have. And that's my goal because it's not about just going out and getting coaches. You'd be surprised, man. I would say at least 200 calls, resumes, and texts. I mean, I got a call from Lou Holtz about a candidate. I got a call from Houston Nutt about a candidate. I got a call from Doug Peterson about a candidate. And I don't say that boastfully. I say that so that the Marshall community will truly understand the true appreciation people outside of this community have for this place. I've gotten so many congratulatory, we're so excited for you and the program. So, I say that so the people of Marshall understand that there are people out there who are watching us. There are people out there who are pulling for us. And it is our job to continue to give them the reason to do that.
Charles Huff is with us, the new head coach at Marshall University. You came into this program, you've worked your way up, and now you're here at Marshall. And before you took the job, I'm sure you had some expectations of what Marshall was about. What has met your expectations so far as you understand and you learn more about your new situation?
Yeah, the pride, and obviously, when you say the word Marshall, that's one of the first things you think about, pride. And that's probably been the biggest thing that, I had high expectations for pride here, and it's met it for sure. I mean, from, every entity in this community, the pride and the passion that people have. It's one thing to love your school. It's one thing to, be a fan of a school. But there's something special about Marshall pride that you can't really put into words, or you can't paint a picture of it. You can just see it in people's eyes when they talk about Marshall. You can see it in people's eyes when they tell you stories of things that happened here 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. You talk to some people here and they tell you about the game that, Coach Pruitt went down to Clemson and the guy stood at the bottom of the hill and waited for Clemson to come down. They tell you about the game where they beat South Carolina. They tell you about big games here in our stadium, so you get a chance to really see the pride just kind of ooze out of people when they start talking about this program.
And on that note, was there anything that when you got here, you started to learn, you started to see, explore, that just blew you away, exceeded your expectations?
I think, this city, and people, say Huntington, West Virginia, it's a smaller town. It's a small town with a big heart. It's a small town with a lot of people who have grown up here, a lot of people that have never left, a lot of people that have grown up, went away, and came back. And I think you can feel that. I mean, you could feel people's true passion. I've lived in transit cities before where, people move in, move out, and, they're still connected to where they're from. But you could see that the people here are ingrained in this community, are ingrained in this environment, and have a lot of pride about that.
Now, as a new head coach, you always want to make things better. When you come here, you hope to leave a program better than when you found it. So when you took this job over and you started your evaluation and your expectations are met here or exceeded here, was there something, or is there anything that you've looked at so far that you think, okay, this needs to improve, and I'm glad I'm here because I can improve this? Is there that one thing or multiple things?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime you're talking about, thing upgrading or improving or enhancing, and you're talking finances. That's what you're talking about, and it's not necessarily, the great time of year or time in this pandemic to be talking about that. So what I'm trying to improve is the things that I can control. Hopefully, my energy, hopefully our product on the field, hopefully our recruiting model, hopefully that energizes enough people to where they want to support financially and emotionally. But my job now is to help my players improve every day. To be a champion, take that small step, understand that the details are important, understand that the work we do now is what's going to show up in December. So that's my focus. I know a lot of people, come in and say, well, we want a new stadium or we want a new locker room. Yeah, I want those things for our players. But in order for us to get those things, then we got to do our part. And what can we control today? I can't control the checkbook today. I can't control, the schedule of who we're playing today. I can't control the game time today. But what I can control is my work ethic today and how much better I get. So coming in and making sure that my staff is going to be prepared when they come in, coming in and making sure that I'm putting my players in the best situation possible weeks away from spring ball. How many days of spring ball are we going to have? When do we start spring ball so it times up so we have enough rest before the season? How are we attacking this recruiting? How are we attacking the 2022 class, but also understanding that we need to evaluate what 2021s are left? How are we attacking the transfer portal and what kids in the transfer portal fit our plan? All of those things are the things that I can concentrate on today to help this program get better, so that I can affect the new locker room, so that I can affect, more revenue into the program, so that I can affect the overall support vehicle for athletics here. So those are the things I kind of focus on.
Charles Huff joining me, the head coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, taking the job a few days ago, and you've been energetic ever since. I want to step my game up now, and I don't even play for you, Coach. And do you find that everyone's just wanting to step their game up because they're so infected by your positive attitude and your personality?
Well, I think everybody should have that. I mean, you're going to affect everybody you come around in one of two ways, positively or negatively. I choose the positive. So I choose to come in with a smile. I choose to do as much as I can in a 24-hour day. I choose, I talked about it in my press conference, discipline is the conscious choices and decisions on a daily basis. So I'm going to choose to do the right thing. I'm going to choose to be positive. I'm going to choose to have energy. Some people are going to choose to have a frown. Some people are going to choose to be, complain about what they don't have. I would rather be happy about what I do have, and that's the best college football head coaching job in the world. That's what I have. So I'm going to choose to enjoy that.
Coach, it's been fun talking to you. I can't wait to do it again. I know you have a limited schedule. I was going to ask you, but I'm almost out of time. How are you managing all this time right now?
Just like our players, you gotta set your course, and you gotta say, okay, what's important now? What can I control now? And so you schedule things out through your day. You make sure, hey, at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure I finish all these things. And if that takes till 12 o'clock at night, like I went to bed last night, or if that's 2 o'clock in the morning, like I did the first 2 nights, you get up, ready to go. You're back in the office at 5:30. Set you another plan, set you another list of things. You start checking them off. When you're done, start it all over again.
Coach, thanks for taking the time to speak with me. I'm really excited to see what this journey is going to look like with you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys, and go Herd.
Thank you, sir. Coach Huff joining us on the program. He's got the Red Bull in him. I tried to match him. I had the 5 Monsters today, and I hope I did match him. I'm excited to see what he can do with this program, and I'm really excited for everything that he has said so far. And I think you should be as well. We're going to take our break, come back. We're going to talk a little Marshall basketball with you. The Thundering Herd in action tonight at the Cam Henderson Center with the ladies. The men on the road taking on FIU. We'll talk more about that when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Coming up tonight, it's going to be Marshall and FIU. We've got the men's broadcast coming up 7 o'clock. You can start at 6 o'clock with our pregame coverage. There's no TV for this one, so you're going to have to either listen to it or you're not going to find out what's happening. So I advise you to stay right here or tell your friends. And if you've got someone who's maybe living elsewhere, you can, of course, tell them they can stream the game as well. We've got the audio stream. You can go to our app. You can go to our website. WRVC.com. You can listen to it live there. You can also download the app for your iPhone or your Android device. And if you've got the Alexa skill, you can enable the Alexa skill. And the link's there as well. And you can stream right there on your Alexa device. That's a great way to do that if you got that skill. So many ways to follow the Herd tonight. Unfortunately, for those of you who like TV, they have COVID issues with their video crew. So there's no broadcast tonight of the game, and a lot of it is contact tracing, and that's the big it's going to knock out a lot of people. So if someone tests positive in a really close-knit group, someone's going to test positive, it's going to knock out a lot of people. So they don't have backups to that. This game, of course, was going to be on ESPN+, so in a sense, that was going to be FIU producing the broadcast, putting it on ESPN+. Now, the game on Saturday, I believe, is stadium local only, but tonight's broadcast not happening. And again, kind of hard to get those things turned around on short notice. So, some universities have different protocols, and I'm sure that everyone on the video crew over at Marshall are in some sort of protocol as well. But stay tuned right here, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So tonight, Herd's taking on FIU. And these two teams are going to be really similar. And just kind of give you an idea, preview of what we're going to talk about tonight. Jared West, when I talked to him earlier this week, he talked about FIU, what kind of style they play. It's going to be a press. They're going to be a really unique brand of basketball. They're going to play similar to the Thundering Herd, but Jared described it best. Offensively, they're going to be a lot like the Herd, and defensively, they're just going to be all over them.
They play a unique style. They play like us on offense and probably a little more reckless, honestly. And then defensively, they press the whole game. So, and they play like 13 or 14 guys. So they play a different type of style, a different way. And it is going to be important to make sure we take care of our bodies and we get sleep and we prepare well. And, we got to stay in the flow of practice. So we got to go hard still. We got to make sure we're locked in and focused for the game and stuff while we're at practice. But at the same time, we don't want to go overboard and overdo it. But at the same time, man, we just got to be tough enough to go down there and grind. We know it's going to be a grind. They play fast. We play fast. And the tempos, I don't think the tempos are going to change anytime soon. So, we just got to adjust. I mean, I think we'll be fine. Like Coach Dan said, it's kind of like we're playing ourselves in the offensive, and that's the good thing. So we just got to make our adjustments, and we got to, make sure we're taking care of our bodies and preparing the right way.
And one theme that came up a lot, talking to both Coach D'Antoni, Coach Kemper, talking to the players, FIU, very similar. Their men's and women's programs are very similar. And Coach Kemper, when I talked to him yesterday, talked about going out and just playing a team like that likes the press.
For us, it's almost the polar opposite of what we do. They're fighting 94 feet. We're trying to fight hard 18 feet and in. And so I think even in trying to train your players to do the things that they do, it's very out of care. I'm asking them to do things that I don't ask them to do ever in practice in terms of pressure and trapping and things like that. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for us is just philosophically it's drilled on a daily basis the other way. And now to prepare for this, we got to try to swing it. Everything you try to teach them, you sort of say, don't play in gaps, overplay, try to run through passes, things like that we just simply don't teach. So it is a good brand of basketball for them, but our players aren't taught that. So trying to do that in 3 days, we can't replicate it. That's the easiest way to say it. We're doing our best, but we can't make it. They practice it every day. We practice another way. And it is hard to turn up pressure if you don't do it. It's hard to simulate that in practice if you're not used to doing it.
Tony Kemper, we'll hear more from him coming up. Our pregame begins 6 o'clock right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930, also on 93.7 The Dog. When we continue, we'll get your phone calls in, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. You can be a part of the White Claw phone lines. White Claw, hard seltzer, made pure. Also, we're going to talk about something that's shocking to me, something that I think might have some ramifications in sports broadcasting. We'll talk about that when we come back here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. This is The Drive for Friday, January 22nd. Paul Swann, your host. Our phone lines this hour brought to you by White Claw, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer. It is made pure. So something that, if you've listened to me for a long period of time, I'm a big hockey fan. I enjoy watching hockey, and if it wasn't for Herd basketball tonight, I'd be watching the Penguins take on the Rangers. That might be a little harder here in the future because I don't know what the shape of the hockey package is going to look like because NBC is going to shut down NBC Sports Network at the end of the year. What's going to happen is what has been really an outlet for things like NHL, Premier League, NASCAR. There's a college package that goes along with it. All of these things are, depending on what the future contracts hold, are going to migrate to mostly USA Network. And also keep in mind, NBC is going to spread this out between USA Network and its Peacock streaming service. Now, this is a little bit different than, say, ESPN+. For ESPN+, a lot of the broadcasts you see are produced internally. Broadcasts must meet the standards, the style, the formatics. So if you put your basketball on, say you're Marshall, you put your basketball on ESPN+, it's an ESPN+ broadcast, and so it must look like an ESPN property. And that's the problem we've got tonight, the game between Marshall and FIU to be broadcast on ESPN+, but really it was being produced by FIU. And since, unfortunately, no broadcast tonight on the TV side after COVID-19 contact tracing basically knocked out the entire production staff, we don't have a game. And then there's Peacock, and it sounds like what Peacock is wanting to do is take its properties, or NBC wants to take its properties, move them to networks like USA Network. And USA Network is in more homes than NBC Sports Network. Over 86 million homes. NBC Sports Network is in 80 million homes. Okay, 6 million more. It's a bigger reach. Not everybody's got NBC Sports Network. It's not on the high tier. I've got DirecTV, so my sports channels all look like ESPN early. I can get my CNN, I can get ESPN, I get those channels, and then everybody else comes below. And then I got to go lower to get NBC Sports Network, and then some of the secondary sports channels are in a lower channel tier. But with the NHL having its main American or North American distribution link here, at least in the States, that's going to be an interesting story to see. And also the NHL, Gary Bettman's wanting to split this thing. The package wants to make sure that getting more of a bang for his buck. And so the package is coming up. And I think that's part of what prompted this, because if this package was going to be split, what do you think of when you think of NBC Sports Network? You think of those. It's really, I never know when we get it. I see sometimes these specialty shows where people are at car auctions. Okay, I'm not here for that. Okay, here's these specialty shows. Again, cars. No, I'm definitely not here for that. Sure, that's a nice truck you're showing off here at a car show. No, I'm good. I see poker. Yeah. Okay, poker after dark. I'm good. Thanks. Oh, hey, look, there's hockey. But this was an outlet that was an alternative to ESPN and Fox Sports and CBS Sports. So now you have one less outlet, but these properties are moving now to the ones that remain, going to move to USA Network, Peacock. Peacock is probably going to be your destination, and I don't know if you're a big fan of a Premier League. That's probably going to, more so than ever, that's probably going to Peacock. Also, a lot of programming during the Olympics going to NBC Sports Network. Watched a lot of basketball there, hockey, other sports that I liked. And so now that's possibly going away. That's going to go to different networks. But I'm curious how that's going to be split across some of these networks, because a lot of times you see on NBC Sports Network, some of the broadcasts were live, whereas on NBC proper, prime time, you've got sort of a presentation of the big events today, stuff you can watch in prime time. And I get it, you want to have the best stuff on prime time to attract the most viewers, and I get that completely. But for me, I'm up at 5 a.m. because I want to watch the gold medal game. Your mileage may vary. But also, I think that's going to give, I don't know how much leverage it's going to give NBC. If it's going to make it a stronger proposition, like, look, we're going to put you on USA Network. It's not the same. USA Network, not the same. Yeah, it's in more homes, and sure, there's a lot of success there already. WWE's there, and there is a precedent for this, but I guess it beats Law and Order reruns, right? But is this going to have an impact on how, not much, but still an impact on how things are going to go in the future? Are we going to see more things go to the streaming side? We've already seen it with ESPN. We're seeing it with Peacock now here. What's coming up next? So we're going to see more properties go streaming side. Will a lot of games be on Fox? Will those games be streamed only? It's still a big deal to be on the cable channel. But a lot of people are cutting the cord. A lot of people are doing away with the big, massive cable packages, and that just concerns me here that here we go. Here's a sports channel that sort of was an alternative, and I thought could have been a viable candidate for really reworking the lineup a little bit. Yeah, maybe we could have more college basketball on. Doesn't necessarily need to be the ACC. I mean, sure, it could be some of the exciting but smaller conferences. Still a lot of good basketball out there. And football, I think that would have helped NBC if there was true schedule of college football on a Saturday. I mean, if I could flip to NBC Sports Network and see some college football games that I don't see anywhere else, I mean, that would have attracted me to the network more. Because on a Saturday, if I'm home and there's no Herd game, and so I'm able to hang out on a Saturday and watch a few games, I'm going across the dial here. Okay, what's on this one? No, I don't want to watch the. Hey, I want to see this one. I'm not saying that that's going to happen everywhere, but still, if you got more options, more people will tune in. You might not have the huge numbers of the SEC or the ACC or the Big Ten. You might not have those huge numbers, but if you had some good games and you had some alternate games, I mean, maybe you could have been a secondary broadcast outlet. I mean, look, the NFL Network, once that thing gets going again, I hope it gets going again, watch some Conference USA action on the NFL Network. I mean, right now, if you're not on ESPN or you're not on one of the major outlets here, I mean, you're looking at a streaming package, and I hope that improves for all college athletics across the board. We're coming back in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk basketball. The Thundering Herd taking on FIU, both the men and women. Looking forward to talking about it with you. I want to thank my guest, the new head coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, Charles Huff. Excited for him. I mean, he brings a lot of energy, and if he doesn't have enough energy for you already, I don't know what to tell you, because he brought it. He definitely brought it today, and he's been bringing it since we started to get to know him after his initial press conference. All right, back in a few moments to talk basketball with you. Thanks for staying tuned. We've got Herd action coming up tonight, and you can listen to it all right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.